This is our 4-stage Pro Series nitrous controller that I wanted to demonstrate some of the features and functions that it has and giving a video tutorial. This will go along with the instructions when you purchase the kit and will also be online for future reference. So for example, this is the screen display for stages 1 and 2. This is a 4-stage controller, so we would select the shaft encoder to be 3 and 4 or 1 and 2. So you can have all the 4 stages displayed. It has an on time delay, it has an off time, and also it has a mode. The mode basically is either hold, restart, or disable. Disable obviously will not work regardless of the throttle switch. Hold is if you pedal the car, it will hold the timer and restart from where it left off once it gets once the throttle gets reapplied. And restart is obviously if the throttle gets lifted and reapplied, the timer will start from the beginning all over again. All the times or selections can be changed with this shaft encoder here, so you don't need a laptop to do any last minute changes in the lanes. This connector here is all of your inputs for your power, your ground, your trans brake interrupt or clutch switch interrupt, and obviously the full throttle switch. You have the 2 cables, one going to the switch panel, the other one going to the relay driver for the solenoids. And I'm just going to give you a quick demonstration. So for example, right now stage 1 is set to turn on at 0.4 seconds. Stage 2 is set to turn on at 1.31 seconds. And if you lift off the throttle, it will hold the timers. If I wanted to change that, so let's say for example I wanted stage 2 to come on at 1.5 seconds. I would select enter, pushing down on the shaft encoder. It's going to ask you, do you want to change? You scroll to the left, you press enter. Now you can scroll through all of the lines where the cursor is flashing. So I wanted to change stage 2, so I would turn the dial, press enter, and now I can scroll through all the parameters for stage 2. So we wanted to select stage 2 to turn on at 1.5 seconds. So I select that digit, I press enter, I turn to the right to increase the time, I press enter again, it enters the value. Now I go to the next digit, I press enter, I want to make that a 0, go to the left for decrease, press enter, and now my time is set for 1.5 seconds on the second stage. I press enter again, I scroll to the right, it's going to ask me, do I want to save, yes or no. Scroll to the left for yes, press enter, and now it's saved. A few features of this also for a diagnosing aspect is it has all the input functions so that you know if it's receiving the input functions, whether it be a nitrous arming, a line purge, a motor purge, wide open throttle, trans brake. Another unique feature that this controller has, it also has a ground input. So now if you want a particular stage or any stage or all stages to turn on once it receives a ground input signal externally, either from an ignition system after a certain RPM or on your shifter selection switch. So if you're running a 5-speed, for example, and you want the stage 2 to turn on after it sees a ground input from the shifter, you can also select it by the asterisk. So for example, I'm going to I want to change that parameter again, hit yes, scroll down, enter. Now that line there, that's going to be the parameter for the ground input, and it's going to be shown as an asterisk. So if I wanted to change that, I'm going to turn the dial to the right, and now you see the asterisk there. That asterisk means that on that stage it has to see obviously full throttle, and it also has to see a ground put in order for that activation stage to occur. Once it receives those 2 signals, at that point, then it will be delayed 1.5 seconds. If you want it to come on instantly, after it receives the ground, you would select the time obviously at 0.00, and it would come on instantly once it receives the ground signal. So that's just a demonstration of if you wanted a stage to turn on after it sees a ground input externally, either from a shifter or an MSD or any type of ignition system once it sees a certain RPM. So I'm just going to, for demonstration purposes, turn it back to the way it was originally. Change yes, enter. I'm just going to scroll to the left to cancel that. Bring the cursor back to the left. Save, yes, hit enter, it's saving. So now, going back to the diagnosis part, you have nitrous armed, so it's showing you that the switch has armed the nitrous. You also have a full throttle input, which is here. And you also have the trans brake or two-step input, so you know that it's receiving the signal from the button and it's receiving the signal from the wide open throttle switch. So right now the nitrous is armed. You'll notice that the timer at the top right, that's a global timer, and this is the individual timer for that particular stage. So you'll notice that this timer will be going on, and as the stages turn on, then these timers will then activate, and I'll demonstrate that. So now the nitrous is armed. We can line purge. That's line purge 1, line purge 2. Again, receiving the input signal, so you know everything is working on the input side. Motor purge 1, motor purge 2, 3, and 4. So the nitrous is armed. I'm going to activate my two-step and wide open throttle. So now at this point here, it's ready for race mode once I release the trans brake. And it'll go through the timers. Now if I stop, you'll notice that those timers have stopped and they'll restart again from where I left off. After 10 seconds, regardless if I have the throttle on, it will turn off automatically as a safety feature. So if the throttle does get stuck or the micro switch gets stuck in the closed position, after 10 seconds the system will turn off automatically, and in order to restart it again you have to restart the nitrous arming switch. So basically turn it off and back on again, and then you can activate it again and it will work. For example, now if I wanted to have an off time, so let's say I wanted to turn the stage 1, I wanted to turn it off after 2 seconds. I would then select the change parameter, hit yes. Now I can scroll through the first line. So I want to activate that at I want to turn it off at 2 seconds actually. And this is since I'm here, I can show you also the mode. You have restart, disable, and hold. So they're set at hold from the factory default, and you can change that at any time. We're going to change the timers now. Save, yes. So now what's going to happen is stage 1 is going to be delayed 0.4 seconds, and after it gets activated it will turn off in 2 seconds. So we can demonstrate that again. And when we're going through the racing sequence, you'll notice that the timer on the first stage here, which is this row here, will turn on and you'll see it activate. Then after 2 seconds you won't see this timer anymore, because obviously that stage has now been turned off. So a quick demonstration. Two-step, wide open throttle, release the two-step, and you'll notice that the timer then goes off for the first stage because we selected to turn it off. After 10 seconds I'm still holding the wide open throttle switch and it has turned off. And this is a demonstration of the 4-stage nitrous controller, which is our new Pro Series that we've come out with for 2013. And I will also include some other instructions as well with when you receive the kit. But this gives you a good demonstration visually of how everything works.